Hello you guys, let's talk about using intercepts, okay? So I'm going to show you another way to graph points besides making a big table. First vocabulary word is an X-intercept. Now the X-intercept is the exact point where the line crosses the X-axis. So I want you to please do something like this in the margin of your note-taking guide. I want you to draw an X-axis and label it with an X, draw a Y-axis, label it with a Y, and then on the x-axis at +3, I want you to put a dot, and on the y-axis at -4, I want you to put a dot, and then I want you to use your straight edge and draw a straight line through those points, okay? Because the x-intercept is this point right here. It's exactly where the line crosses the x-axis, and I circled it in green so you could see that. The y-intercept is the point where the line crosses the y-axis. So find the y-axis and look at this point. It's the point where the line that you draw crosses the y-axis. Okay, now to find the intercepts, and I'll show you when we do examples, but to find the x-intercept, you have to substitute 0 in for y. So the trick is, with your finger, I'm going to ask you to cover up the y so you can't see it, and then you're going to solve the equation for x. Okay? Now when you want to find the y-intercept, we have to substitute 0 in for x. So we're going to cover up the x and just solve for the y. Okay, now take a look at example 2, using intercepts to graph a line. So they want us to graph a line with the x-intercept of -1 and a y-intercept of -4. So sometimes they're really nice and they just give us the values. So if the x-intercept is -1, I put x equals -1. Well, if it's the intercept, then the other letter, the y, has to be 0. So now I'm going to make this look like a point. So I'd put -1, comma, 0, and I'd graph that point. So I start at the origin, I go to the left to -1, and the 0 means don't move in the elevator, just stay right there. So I'm going to put that dot right there on the -1 on the x-axis. Now, they told me the y-intercept was -4. So I know the y-intercept is -4, that means the x has to be 0. So then I made it look like a point, 0, comma, -4, because remember the x always has to come first. So 0, comma, -4. So I'd start at the origin, 0 means don't go right or left, the -4 means get in the elevator, go down to -4, and draw that, put that point. And then use your straight edge, and I want you to draw a straight line through these 2 points. Put arrows on both ends, and I want you with your green to label it, okay? So put the x-intercept is this point right here where it crossed the x-axis, and the y-intercept is this point right here where it crossed the y-axis, right there. Okay, now look at the guided practice. Take a look at number 1. I want you to lightly cross it out. I do not like the numbers they gave us, and we're going to do this example, right? 2x plus 3y equals 6, okay? That's the equation they want us to graph using the intercepts. So I want you to copy the equation in the margin over here. 2x plus 3y equals 6. And then I want you to do a T-chart, a giant T, okay? So underline it and then put a line down the middle. Now, on the left-hand side, let's put X-intercept. So you can abbreviate it, X-INT for X-intercept. Now, when we want to find the x-intercept, you know, they told you that you have to let the other letter be 0. Now let me show you a trick. I'm going to get a bigger pointer so I can cover it up, okay? And now what I want you to do is go to where you see the y, and I want you to cover this up with your finger. Just cover it up so you can't see it, can't see it, can't see it. And do you notice how all you can see now is 2x equals 6, okay? So we're covering that up. So that's what I wrote. I put 2x equals 6 right here, and now I just have to solve that. So I want to get rid of the 2, so I'm going to divide both sides by 2, and that leaves me x equals 3. And so now, since I know that the x is 3 and the y was 0, I make it look like a point, 3, comma, 0. And then I would go graph it. So start at the origin. +3 means go to the right 3. The 0 means don't get in the elevator and move. Just stay right there. So put a dot right there. Okay, and now let's do the y-intercept. So when we're trying to find the y-intercept, we're going to let x be 0. That means we're going to cover it up. So let me get my bigger pointer here, and I want you to go to the x, and I just want you to cover it up, cover it up, cover it up. Don't look at it. It's gone. Now, do you see the 3y equals 6? Well, that's what I want you to write. So let me grab my smaller pointer. Okay, so then I wrote 3y equals 6 right here. Let's get rid of the 3. So divide both sides by 3. So I have y equals 2. So now I have to make it look like a point to graph. X was 0, so I put the 0 first. Y was 2. I put comma 2. And now I graph that. So go to the origin. 0 means you don't go right or left. The positive 2 means get in the elevator and go up 2 and draw that point. Now, with your straight edge, draw a straight line through those 2 points and put arrows on both ends. And that's your answer. That is the graph of that equation. Now, I want you, just so that you can practice with your green, put y-intercept and draw a little arrow to this point. Remember, the y-intercept is where it crossed the y-axis. And then put x-intercept. And remember, that's this point. It's where it crossed the x-axis. Okay, so look at number 2, and again, lightly cross out what they gave us. Don't like those numbers. I'm going to do a different example. Put 4x minus 3y equals 12. All right, and then I want you to write it over here, or write it up above. I think you have more space up above, but I'm going to put it over here so you can see it. 4x minus 3y equals 12. Now with your red, add a line and change the sign. So you see that it's 4x plus negative 3y equals 12. Okay. Now with your pencil, make that big giant T, underline the equation and put a line down the middle. And let's do the X-intercept. The X-intercept means we have to cover up Y. So Y is 0. So now I'm going to grab the bigger pointer and I'm going to cover up the Y. So this is gone, 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 gone. You can't see it. So do you notice how the only thing you can see is 4x equals 12? So that's what I wrote. I wrote 4x equals 12, and now I would just try to get rid of the 4, divide both sides by 4, so I get x equals 3. So I have my point, 3, 0, and so I would go over to my graph, start at the origin. Positive 3 means go to the right 3, and the 0 means don't go up or down. Just put a dot right there. Okay, let's talk about the y-intercept. When you're trying to find the y-intercept, you want to cover up the x. The x is 0. So I'm going to grab my big pointer and I'm going to cover up the x. It's gone, it's gone, it's gone. You can't see it, can't see it, can't see it. So do you notice how you see the negative 3y equals 12? Well, that's the equation we're going to solve. So I wrote negative 3y equals 12. And now let's get rid of the negative 3. So divide both sides by negative 3. So you get y equals negative 4. So now make it look like a point. Remember, x is 0. So put 0, negative 4. And then start at the origin. The 0 means don't go right or left. The negative 4 means you got in the elevator and you went down 4 units and draw your point. And now, with your straight edge, draw a perfectly straight line through those 2 points and put arrows on both ends. And then I want you with your green, please, put X-intercept and just show me that that's the X-intercept because it's where the line crossed the X-axis. And then put Y-intercept and show me that this is the Y-intercept because it's where the line crossed the Y-axis. Okay, take a look at number 3, and I actually like this one. It's negative 3x minus y equals negative 15. So the first thing you do, grab your red and put in that giant invisible 1 in front of the y so we can see it. And then notice how I wrote it over here in the margin. So negative 3x minus 1y equals negative 15. And then with your red, I want you to add a line and change the sign so that you can see this is negative 3x plus negative 1y equals negative 15. Now with your pencil, I want you to underline it and then put a big line down the middle. So draw that giant T and then put X-intercept and the Y-intercept. Let's start with the X-intercept. When we're trying to find the X-intercept, the Y has to be 0. So I want you to cover up where you see the Y. Cover it up, you can't see it, you can't see it. And notice how you see negative 3x equals negative 15. That's what I want you to write, and that's what I want you to solve. Negative 3x equals negative 15. So get rid of that negative 3 by dividing both sides by negative 3. So you get x equals 5. And so we can write our point 5, 0, and that's what we're going to graph. Start at the origin and then go to the right 5, which is between 4 and 6 here, and then don't get in the elevator and go anywhere. Just stay right there. So put your dot right there. Okay, and then let's talk about the y-intercept. That means the x has to get covered up. So go to the x and cover it up, cover it up. You can't see it, you can't see it. And notice how you see negative 1y equals negative 15. Well, that's what I want you to solve. So write negative 1y equals negative 15. Let's get rid of that negative 1 by dividing both sides by negative 1. So you get y equals positive 15. And so I'm going to write the point as 0, 15. So start at the origin. The 0 means don't go right or left. The 15 means get in the elevator and go up to 15, which is between 14 and 16. And draw your point. And now with your straight edge, draw a straight line that connects those 2 points. Put arrows on both ends. And then with your green, I want you to show me that the y-intercept is this point right here where it crosses the y-axis. And the x-intercept is this point right here where it crossed the x-axis. And then go ahead and cross out number 4. Okay, and then you have my permission to lightly cross out example 3. And then go ahead and lightly cross out example 4.